Judge Dredd is a perfect example of what can happen when only one person has complete control over a project. The person in question is Sylvester Stallone, who agreed to play the lead role in the movie at the peak of his fame. Along with Kevin Costner, Sly was a huge fan of teaching everyone around him how to make movies properly. And it usually didn't end well for those who refused to listen to the actor's advice. Judge Dredd was the last movie in the actor's career where the studio gave him complete creative control. According to the original script, Judge Dredd was supposed to be a dark movie about the future. Many of those who read the script compared it to Blade Runner. During the early stages of Judge Dredd's development, Arnold Schwarzenegger was set to play the lead, with Peter Hewitt as director. The latter was appointed after the box office success of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. However, Schwarzenegger was in high demand at the time, and the Judge Dredd script was not his top priority. After starring in Last Action Hero, he wanted to work with James Cameron again on True Lies. When it became clear that Arnold wouldn't star in the movie, Peter Hewitt left the project. That's when director Danny Cannon took over the movie. Hollywood studios noticed Cannon after the low-budget movie The Young Americans, with Harvey Keitel and Viggo Mortensen. The director received 2 job offers at the same time. One came from 20th Century Fox, who wanted him to direct Die Hard with a Vengeance. At the time, John McTiernan, who eventually directed the third part of Die Hard, refused the position. Therefore, the studio was looking for young directors who could bring a fresh perspective to the franchise. Cannon's second offer was Judge Dredd. According to him, he chose Judge Dredd almost immediately. The reason was that Die Hard 3 was a blockbuster with a lot of studio control. This meant that the young director would have to work under strict limitations on set. With Judge Dredd, the situation was slightly different. After Arnie's departure, the movie's budget was supposed to be about $50 million. In those days, that was an impressive amount, but still far from Die Hard's $100 million. This is why Cannon expected that management would put less pressure on him. That made sense, but Sylvester Stallone's appearance changed everything. Back then, he was constantly trying to intercept Schwarzenegger's projects, and was interested in everything Arnold was interested in. Sometimes such interest resulted in movies like Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot. Many people believed in the 90s that Stallone had snatched Arnold Schwarzenegger's role in this movie. But after the comedy was filmed, Stallone revealed that Schwarzenegger had deliberately spread rumors about his interest in Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot, making him put a lot of effort into getting the role. Today, Stallone considers it his worst movie. Anyway, as soon as Stallone joined the project, the budget for Judge Dredd doubled, putting it on the same level as Die Hard 3. Stallone started revising Judge Dredd right away. He removed or edited everything he thought was foolish. Sylvester Stallone is notorious for his obsessive desire to have full control over the movies he appears in. He's a perfect example of a one-man band. Stallone's celebrity status allowed him to get away with most of his antics and decisions. It was he who introduced Rob Schneider's character into the plot. Sly initially wanted to cast Joe Pesci in the role, but the actor declined after reading the script. Only then did Sylvester remember the strange guy he had worked with on Demolition Man. Schneider accepted the offer. Things only got worse when the filming began. Sly started making changes to the script he had already worked on earlier. The actor said that he had never read a comic book in his life and was not going to start with Judge Dredd. In other words, he had no idea what was important to this character and what wasn't. He had a hand in everything, causing the movie to lose its dark seriousness. During filming, Danny Cannon constantly argued with Stallone and requested his dismissal. But the studio denied him this due to the contractual obligations and Directors Guild requirements. In later interviews, Cannon blamed Stallone for all of the movie's problems. He believed that Sylvester Stallone turned a movie that was a cross between Ben-Hur and Blade Runner into some kind of mindless action comedy. Danny Cannon isn't wrong here. In various interviews, Stallone repeatedly said that, in his opinion, the original idea for the movie was doomed to fail. That is why he deliberately changed the script to include more comedic elements. That was Stallone's idea, to remove the helmet from the main character's head. Later, he was harshly criticized for this by both professional critics and ordinary viewers. However, he had a point there. What's the point of having Stallone as the lead if he's going to wear a helmet all the time? Although, this question is best directed to the studio. And it's highly unlikely that Arnold, who was interested in Judge Dredd earlier, would also have to wear a helmet throughout the movie. Additionally, Stallone replaced David Arnold, who was supposed to compose the music for Judge Dredd, with Alan Silvestri. He did this because Arnold shared the same opinion as director Danny Cannon and wanted to write overly dark music for the movie. Danny Cannon claims that his only contribution to the movie that Stallone did not interfere with was the robot, Hammerstein. It was the director who insisted on using hydraulic-powered effects rather than a suit like the one in RoboCop. Sly agreed with the idea. When the filming was finished and the rough footage was sent to the studio, the outcome was predictable. The movie did not do well in test screenings and was quickly sent back for additional filming. Director Danny Cannon was removed from the process, and Sylvester Stallone was rumored to have taken over. Due to a conflict with the studio, Cannon was also removed from the final cut. The whole Judge Dredd situation had a severe impact on the director's career. A couple of years later, Danny Cannon made the low-budget movie Phoenix, and then spent almost 10 years working in television. Only in 2005 did he return to the big screen with the movie Goal! The Dream Begins. After it failed, Cannon never returned to working on big movies. By the way, after filming Judge Dredd, the director promised that he would never work on projects with big stars again. It seems that he kept his promise, although it is unknown whether he even had an opportunity to work with someone. Cannon's absence from additional filming did not improve the situation. The test screens remained unimpressive. The studio had no choice but to ask Stallone to re-edit the movie from R to PG-13. But despite their best efforts, Harry Keramidas, Alex Mackey, and Sylvester Stallone could not provide the studio with the required rating. They edited the film several times, but only one cut met the Motion Picture Association's requirements. However, according to people who watched it, the version was a meaningless mess without any plot. As a result, the movie was rated R in theaters. Many experts believe that the movie's R rating contributed to its disappointing box office performance. Judge Dredd made $113 million against a $90 million budget. Walt Disney Studios lost around $100 million from the movie. The huge success of The Rock, which was released right after Judge Dredd, helped save Hollywood Pictures. If it wasn't for the movie, Disney would have most likely closed the label much sooner. Hollywood Pictures worked for several more years before closing after a string of high-profile failures in the late 1990s and early 2000s, including Deep Rising, Burn Hollywood Burn, Mystery Alaska, and Just Visiting. Some believe that Judge Dredd marked the end of Sylvester Stallone's successful acting career, and the subsequent failure of Assassins only confirmed this.